Ever wondered what a day in the life of a commercial pilot looks like? From pre-flight checks in the early morning to takeoff and landing at the final destination, let's take a journey through a typical day of these aviation professionals who ensure your flights are safe and smooth. Pilots are responsible for flying and navigating aircraft, ensuring the safety of passengers and crew. They conduct pre-flight checks, monitor weather and flight conditions, and communicate with air traffic control. During the flight, pilots manage the aircraft's systems, handle any emergencies, and make critical decisions. They also perform precise maneuvers during takeoff and landing, ensuring a smooth and safe journey from departure to arrival. Pilots undergo extensive training to master the complex skills needed for flying. This includes rigorous classroom instruction, simulator sessions, and hands-on flight experience. Training covers a wide range of topics such as navigation, aircraft systems, emergency procedures, and communication with air traffic control. Continuous training and assessments are essential to keep pilots updated on the latest safety protocols and technology. As a routine for all commercial pilots, this is how their day looks like. A pilot's day often starts before dawn, especially for early morning flights. After a quick breakfast, it's off to the airport. But before stepping into the cockpit, a lot of preparation happens behind the scenes. Upon arrival at the airport, the pilot heads to the airline's operations center for a pre-flight briefing. Here, the crew reviews the flight plan, which includes the route, weather conditions, and any potential issues like air traffic delays or turbulence. The pilot also checks the aircraft's maintenance log to ensure there are no outstanding technical problems. After the pre-flight briefing, pilots now head to the aircraft for a flight briefing with other crew members. During a pilot's briefing with the cabin crew, the pilot discusses essential flight details, including the flight plan, expected weather conditions, and any potential turbulence. They also review safety procedures, emergency protocols, and any specific instructions for the flight. This briefing ensures that the entire crew is prepared and coordinated. With the briefing complete, the pilot heads to the aircraft. Pre-flight checks are crucial to ensure everything is in perfect working order before takeoff. Once in the cockpit, the pilot and co-pilot run through a detailed checklist. They check the avionics, fuel levels, hydraulics, and other essential systems. Meanwhile, they perform a walk-around inspection of the plane, looking for any visible issues like tire pressure, fuel leaks, or any damage on the fuselage of the plane. Boarding and taxiing. After the pre-flight checks are done, passengers begin boarding. The pilot coordinates with the cabin crew to ensure everyone is seated and the cabin is secure. Communication with air traffic control, or ATC, is continuous during this time, as the pilot receives clearance for pushback for departure and taxiing out. Taxiing to the runway may seem routine, but it requires precision. Pilots must carefully navigate the aircraft along the taxiways, following ATC instructions while preparing for takeoff. Takeoff and climbing to cruise altitude. With clearance from ATC, it's time for takeoff. During takeoff, pilots increase throttle to accelerate down the runway, ensuring the aircraft reaches the necessary speed for liftoff. Once airborne, they manage the climb to cruise altitude by adjusting speed, flaps, and engine power. Pilots monitor instruments closely to ensure a smooth, controlled ascent to the desired altitude. Once at cruising altitude, the autopilot is engaged, but the pilots remain vigilant, constantly monitoring the flight's progress and staying in communication with ATC. During the cruise phase, the pilots manage the flight by monitoring instruments, weather conditions, and fuel levels. They also communicate with ATC to stay updated on traffic, weather changes, and any rerouting instructions. At times, the pilots may have their meal or some coffee. While the autopilot handles much of the flying, pilots are constantly at work making small adjustments, planning for descent, and preparing for any unexpected situations. Descent and landing precision and focus. As the destination approaches, it's time to start the descent. The pilots coordinate with ATC to begin a controlled descent. The ATC gives precision to the pilot on which course and flight level to follow. Pilots adjust speed and altitude gradually as they come down. At landing, the ATC gives the pilot the weather of the arrival station. Landing is a critical phase where pilots align the aircraft with the runway, carefully managing speed and descent rate. They must account for wind conditions and visibility while ensuring a smooth approach. As the plane touches down, pilots engage reverse thrust and braking systems to slow the aircraft safely, guiding it to a complete stop before taxiing to the gate. With wheels down, the pilots engage reverse thrust and braking systems to slow the aircraft safely. Once the plane exits the runway, it's a short taxi to the gate where passengers disembark. Lastly, we have crew post-flight duties. Even after the plane is parked at the gate, the pilot's job isn't over. Post-flight duties include shutting down the aircraft systems, completing flight logs, and debriefing with the crew. If the pilot has another flight, the process begins again with a new set of pre-flight checks. After a long day, the pilot finally heads to their hotel or home, ready to rest and prepare for the next flight. It's a demanding job that requires skill, precision, and constant vigilance. But for many pilots, there's nothing more rewarding than taking to the skies. From early mornings to late nights, a day in the life of a commercial pilot is filled with challenges and responsibilities. But for those who live for the thrill of flight, it's all part of the adventure. Thanks for joining us on this journey. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more insights into the world of aviation.